How to get your house sold in Denver right now. I'm Courtney Murphy, Denver Metro Realtor, and today that's what we're going to be talking about because I have seen so many frustrated home sellers in the Denver area. For example, on Facebook and some of the community groups that I'm in, I've seen several posts lately, and it's people who have their houses for sale, they're not selling, they're asking for suggestions. And homes are just taking longer to sell than they have in recent past. So thought I would do a video and talk about getting your house sold in the Denver area. Okay, so the very first thing that I'm going to talk about is probably no surprise to you, but it's also the very number one factor of whether your house is selling or whether it's sitting on the market, and that is price. It's the worst mistake that you can make when you're selling your house is to overprice it. And Denver seems to have a real issue with that. Earlier this year, there was a report that showed that Denver had more price decreases than any other city in the nation. So, what does that tell us about our market? The one solid thing that it tells us about our market is that people overall, more than anywhere else, think their homes are worth more than they are. And I see it all the time. Honestly, it seems like probably 80% of sellers that I meet with think their house is worth more than it is. And sometimes I hear the most ridiculous reasons why. One time I had a lady who she had a house with an in-ground basement, and she thought her house was worth more than a neighbor's house that had just sold that had a walkout basement. And her reasoning was that she prefers having an in-ground basement. But here's the thing, even though she prefers that, most people prefer a walkout basement. And they're more costly to construct, and most people just prefer it. So even though her preference was for an in-ground basement, that did not make her house worth $50,000 more than her neighbor's house who sold. I mean, I hear the craziest things. I could go on and on. Um, and yeah, people and I just want to give you one example. Earlier this summer, I had a home that I listed, and this particular home, was in a newer built community. A neighbor's house had sold the month before. It was right down the street on the same side of the street, same floor plan. I mean, everything was basically exactly the same. Well, the neighbor's house had sold. They listed it at $899. It went under contract within a week and sold. My clients insisted that they could get more. That one was underpriced, so they insisted at pricing at $950. Well, guess what? Weeks went by. Yes, we had showings, but it wasn't selling. They ended up dropping the price down to $899 eventually. And guess what? That's when it sold. So it's good to look at the key indicators in your area and really don't base it on emotion, base it on fact. Find that right price. Also, don't let your Zestimate on Zillow trip you up. Those are notoriously off. They don't see all kinds of factors about your home, your area. They're not going inside the home, seeing what's done, seeing what's upgraded, all that. So if you put too much faith in that Zestimate, too many sellers can just get an overinflated idea of what their house is worth. Um, when you overprice, in the end, it can end up getting you less than if you just priced your home right in the very beginning. The thing is, those first 30 days that you have your house on the market are the most critical. It's where you're going to have the most interest in your home. So you really want to be in that sweet spot right out of the gate. And, as days on the market increase, people start to wonder what's wrong with your home. First of all, they are automatically assuming that you're definitely overpriced, but it's really stigmatizes your property, and people do wonder what's wrong with it, what's going on. So you really don't want people looking at your house online like that. You lose negotiating power there again. Buyers start to feel like you're getting desperate and feel like they can come in with lower offers and just have more control in the transaction. Okay, here's a myth that I hear. A lot of people think, well, if someone's really interested in my house, they are going to come in and they'll just make an offer of what they think it's worth. That's not always the case either. Yes, sometimes that does happen where somebody will come in and they just come in quite a bit lower. But I'll tell you, even when I purchased a home this summer, sold one, purchased one. I fell in love with this house a year prior. It had been on the market, but it was severely overpriced, probably by about 20%. Um, and I just overlooked it. I kept it in the back burner, had it in my saved houses, watched it take some price drops, still wasn't in the right range. They took it off the market for the holidays, put it back on in the spring, still felt it was overpriced. I didn't wait until I knew that they were close to even come in and make an offer. So it's not always the case that somebody will see your house like it. If they think you're way overpriced, they think that there's not a chance. So why make an offer? And they'll move on to the next one. So how do you know if your home is overpriced? Well, if your home is sitting there still on the market after the median average days for your area, then it is a really good indication that you are overpriced. All right. That's probably enough about price. Let's move on to the next thing, which is the presentation of your house. I cannot emphasize enough how important presentation is. All the little details to consider when you have your house on the market. What I have noticed over the years is that people buy a house buy a home based on a feeling. I There's plenty of times I've been showing houses, and I'll show someone a house that it checks every box, the number of bedrooms, we need an office on the main floor, a big backyard, hits every checkbox. I'll take them in a house that they love the feel of it, but maybe that doesn't quite have the bedroom count they needed, or it's a two-car garage, they needed a three-car garage. But if they walk in that house and they get that feeling of, I don't want to leave, I see myself here, this is where I want to live, it- that more than anything, more than checking off boxes, people will grab on and want that house. So you need to make your home a place where they want to be. They get that feeling. So other thing I want to mention, a lot of people have a hard time visualizing things. So keep that in mind too. You might say, oh, well, I have that room painted purple, but I'm sure, they can visualize it painted a neutral color. Not necessarily. So bring the vision to them so that they don't have to visualize it. So number one, I want on presentation, I want to say clean everything down to the teeniest, tiniest details. Make sure your baseboards are spotless, your vents are clean. Don't leave a stone unturned when it comes to cleaning your house. Get it as clean as humanly possible. Next, updates. I am a big fan of updates. When I sold my house this summer, I had spent a year prior at least working on things. Now, I did some major things. I remodeled my primary bathroom. I had my kitchen cabinets painted. I did all kinds of things to update my house and just make it absolutely beautiful, a place that you walk in and you say, wow. In fact, when I was watching, you have the Ring camera door, I remember one people opening the door and I listened and they were like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I did everything I could to make your house beautiful. Uh, Paint is a biggie. Painting is something that is relatively inexpensive, maybe something you can do yourself. I did a lot of painting myself. And think about things to paint. Your front door. How does your front door? That's one of the first things that people see. Paint your front door. Another thing that I painted were that you'd think, why does this matter? Like, who cares? I had an unfinished basement, and the stairs leading to the unfinished basement, they're painted and the paint was worn. I painted the stairs leading to my unfinished basement. I painted the stairs out in my garage. It's those fine little details. Hit them up. Another thing, carpeting. Carpeting can so easily look worn or have stains here and there. And I know a lot of people will say, well, I don't know what kind of carpet that the buyer will want. This goes back to people not being able to visualize things, or dirty carpet or worn carpet can kind of give a feeling that, the house isn't fresh. If your carpet is worn and you are able to, I highly suggest making that decision or replace the carpeting. Like I said, remodeling, doing some, maybe you don't have to go remodel a full bathroom like I did or something like that, but maybe even some small remodeling. Get rid of those big builder mirrors and maybe put up some more custom framed mirrors, or um, some faucets, little details that make it feel kind of special. Uh, light fixtures can make such a difference in a room. And of course, make sure all your, the can lights, make sure they all match, and have a good feeling in your home. You don't want, like the soft yellow over here and a bright white over there. Make it uniform. Pay attention to your curb appeal. There again, I said the front door is one of your first impressions. What's the impression coming up into your yard? Flowers, plants, make it amazing. And replace anything worn in your home. Over 80% of buyers want a home that is move-in ready. Most people don't want to do projects. They don't want to spend more money. They just saved up a whole bunch of money and figured out how they're going to buy this new home. Most buyers want move-in ready. So get your house as close to that as humanly possible. Um, Unpopular decorating. Some things would be so easy to do. So so pay attention to what's popular right now. Like, some of the things I see are some like old style or cutesy poo ruffly window valances or something like that. That may be something that you love, but if it's not popular right now, all that is going to do is detract from your home, and make it look either dated or just out of style. And boy, that's a cheap thing. Take down a window valance, right? But go through and think about that. Of course, declutter. And this comes down to even like your closets. I happen to love to shop, and so my closet was just jam packed with clothes and shoes and hats and purses and all that stuff. Declutter. Organize your pantry, make it nice, maybe put some baskets in there, at least make it clean and organize. Every little detail, be detailed. Um, like flowers, can be a nice touch. New towels. Little things like that. Everything you wanna do is make your home seem as new and fresh as possible, so don't hang, worn towels that you've had for a few years. Go buy some fresh, new, maybe white towels, something like that. Uh, when for showings, lights on, every light, every lamp, uh, every shade or blind open, let in as much light as humanly possible. When I sold my house, I went down to the little details of even like thinking about what type of music I was going to have playing when people walked in. So think about all those little details. Um, let's see. And pet stuff. That was another thing. I had a whole list that I kept uh, just for my mind before every single showing. I have a dog, so I moved the dog bed, food bowls down into my unfinished basement where that's not seen. Think about all those little things. Um, Homes that are empty do not present themselves as well as homes with furniture. So if your home is empty, keep that in mind, that staging, although staging can be quite pricey, it may make quite a difference in how your home looks to people walking in. And same thing, if you do have furniture and it's something's old or worn or out of style, it may be best to get it out of there and get some staging furniture in. So that's what I got to say about presentation. The next part, we covered price, we covered presentation. The next thing you want to consider is marketing. And I was going to do two separate sections with like a marketing and choosing a realtor, but they kind of go together because your realtor is going to be the one who's in charge of marketing. So I want to say it's very important that you pick the right realtor. Over 80% of realtors didn't sell a single home last year. So you want somebody who's selling homes actively in the market, doing it full time, and an expert in your area. And once you find that person, you want to talk to them about what their marketing plan is. Um, this is going to be. Oh, before I hit that, sorry, I missed a spot. Um, I want you to know that no matter what realtor that you choose, your home is going to be marketed on Zillow and Realtor.com and Homes.com. That's an automatic thing. When a realtor enters your home into the MLS, that feed to all these other websites is automatic. Because I know a lot of realtors will say, well, I'm going to market your house up on Realtor.com and on Zillow and what. That's automatic. That's going to happen no matter who you use. So if that's the only thing they got for you or let you know that they're going to do, just beware. All right, moving on. I can't believe I have to say this, but I still see horrible pictures in the MLS, and everybody's shopping online. Like I would say 100% of buyers probably are shopping for homes online. So your online presence, you got to knock it out of the park. And I do still just see some really bad photos. I see photos that are taken with a cell phone. Um, Professional photography. Get that part right. That's going to be the first thing that grabs people when they're flipping online, looking through houses. Video is a must. You got to have video. Recently, the National Association of Realtors came out and stated that homes that are marketed with video bring in 4 times the inquiries of homes that don't. And only about 9% of realtors use video when marketing a home. Very important that your realtor is using video walkthroughs and whatnot, and using that video to market your house. So make sure that's getting done. Social media marketing, find out where they are marketing your house. Are they hitting up Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok? What's their strategy there? Make sure they have a plan for social media marketing. Create a little more buzz around your house. Get it in front of as many people as humanly possible. Personalize it. This is just a little detail that I found that I really like and buyers like as well. And a lot of times people think, well, don't personalize your home. That you're thinking about like the photos, the family photos in the home. I'm talking about do little things. You got to let buyers know what is great about your house. So some of the things that I like is when I go to a house and maybe they leave out a little photo album of pictures that they take. And maybe you have a great house with some great mountain views. And over the years, you've taken some pictures of sunsets or some deer in the yard that pass by in the yard and stuff like that. Those are great things. People like to see that, hey, if I live here, I'm going to see these great sunsets, or there's going to be some deer in my yard, or maybe some turkeys out front. Those are great things to feature. Also, you could do, I've seen this as well, maybe a sheet of paper, maybe you frame it, something like that, set out on your counter that talks about the features. What do you love about your home? Let them know. Another thing I like to do is leave out a home book. This kind of goes through all the features in the community, the area, the city, what's in walking distance, goes over the schools, things like that. Just information for people so and most people will stop and look at some of these things, and it just gives you that opportunity to get those things across to your potential buyers. I also like to do some video interviewing homeowners. Not all sellers want to do video, but I like to do that if they're willing, talking about the great features about their home and their community and stuff. Next thing I want to talk about is open houses. So I have never been a fan of open houses. I just always felt like they didn't sell houses. It was a great place for realtors to get new clients or for neighbors to, um, sneak a peek. But my opinion has changed on that recently. One of the reasons is that's how I sold my home. I didn't even do the open house myself. Another realtor who does a lot of marketing in my neighborhood asked if he could do an open house, and I actually sold my house from some people that were driving by in the neighborhood. And my house was out of their price range. Their budget was a little bit lower. So guess what? When they were shopping online, they never came across my house simply because they had their price set at a certain range and my house was priced above that, so it wasn't showing up in their search results. They walked into my house during an open house, and because I had did the great presentation, like I told you, all the little details that I worked on to make my home beautiful, they came into my house and they told me that they had to have it. So my opinion has changed a bit on open houses, that they can, especially if you have a beautiful home with great presentation. Sometimes you'll get that person walking through and maybe it was above their budget, but they got to make it happen now. So, all right. So, the last thing I want to hit on with you guys is other options that you have to sell your house besides lowering the price. Um, a lot of people want to know this. I have a client right now buying a house in Denver who's trying to sell their house in Texas right now. And they've called me and they're like, what can we do? Our realtor keeps telling us to lower the price. We feel like we've lowered the price a lot. Do we have other options? Obviously, lowering the price is the best option. It just is. Price is number one. If your house isn't selling, if you hit that sweet spot, your house is going to sell. But you do have some other options to try if you're like, I don't want to take another price drop. So, first one I want to mention is a rate buy down. So, it has become very popular now with interest rates being higher over the last couple of years and home prices still high, for sellers to offer a rate buy down. This is usually a temporary rate buy down, like a 2-1. I won't go into details of what that looks like, but the point is that the seller pays for that. You can get a quote from your realtor or a lender on what that'll cost you. I want to say a recent one that I did was on a house that was around that 750 price range, and I want to say it was around $13,000. So that's something that you could offer. Maybe you just want to go simpler than that and offer a closing cost credit. My suggestion with these things is that when you do this, have your realtor put it in writing across the very front picture on the MLS so that people don't miss it, because you don't want people to miss that you're actually offering that. So make it very bold and make it very obvious. One of the great things about offering something like this is that it's something that's temporary and it's not in the history that on the MLS that you ever offered this. So if you do decide to do price drop at another time, you can retract your offering of the closing cost credit or the rate buy down, and nobody sees that you ever offered that. Whereas price drops, there's history there. And so it's something that you can't retract. I mean, you could retract it, but somebody's going to be able to look back and see you'd had your price lower at a certain point. So that's one of the things that I like about offering something temporarily, is that there's no record that you ever offered that. Another strategy is to offer an incentive to the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent is the one who is with the buyers when they're in the house, right? So maybe you might want to do something temporary where you offer an incentive if a home, if that buyer's agent gets the home under contract within a certain amount of time, like, hey, if you bring an offer that results in a closing within by the end of the month, we are offering a $10,000 bonus to the buyer's agent. Or I had a client this summer who just flat out wanted to make sure buyers agents were incentivized to sell their house, to suggest it to their buyers, to get them in there. Is I had a seller who offered a 4% commission to the buyer's agent. It's a very high. I know agents are not supposed to suggest homes based on that they're going to get paid more, but it is human nature that if an agent thinks they're going to make more money selling your house than your neighbor's house, they're probably going to be in there talking your house up pretty well. And that again, that's something you can offer for a temporary time if you want. It doesn't have to, you can try it out, see if it works. In the MLS, we are not allowed anymore to post these sorts of incentives. So this is the type of thing that your realtor is just going to have to be communicating with other realtors outside of the MLS, making those phone calls, posting it on social media, those sorts of things. But it can be quite an incentive to help sell your house. My next suggestion, fixing issues that buyers have mentioned as negative aspects of your home. Hopefully you're getting feedback on your home and listen to what those negatives are. Is it too dark? Maybe you've had people say that your home just feels too dark. Is there something you can do to lighten it up? Maybe you have dark paint. Can you go uh, repaint that dark paint into something lighter, those sorts of things. So this one is actually just changing things that are detractors to your getting your home sold. Last one I got for you is what kind of loan do you have on your house? Do you have an FHA or a VA loan by chance? If so, most of those are assumable. So maybe you have a great rate. Maybe your rate's at 2.99, 3.5. You can, if it's assumable, you can offer that. And that, let me tell you, is an awesome marketing tool in this current climate that we're in, where people are up above 6%. People would love to buy a home and have a low interest rate. The only warning that I want to give you there is that assumable loans can take some time to close. So you have to be a patient seller, and you have to have a patient buyer that can be flexible with closing, because you're relying on your lender to get the loan assumption done. And they can take a little bit more time, but it can help sell your house. All right. Lastly, I do want to say that if you are planning to sell your house, say maybe you're thinking about selling your house in 2026, get in touch with a realtor sooner than later. Walk through your house, talk about some of the presentation changes that I've talked about. Start working on it early. I can't tell you how many people reach out to me. We meet for a listing appointment and I ask when they want to get their house on the market. And they're like, as soon as possible, next weekend, if possible. Give yourself the time. It's going to make your realtor can plan a successful launch, a more robust launch for getting your house on the market. They can do coming soon marketing, and just really prepare to launch your house well. And you can have the time and get the advice on all the things that you should be doing to your home to get it ready, and just make the experience as good as possible. All right. Hopefully I gave you some helpful hints there. My name's Courtney Murphy, Denver Metro Realtor. If you're planning to sell your house, I'd love the opportunity to talk to you, see if we're a good fit to work together. I told you how important video is in the marketing of your home. I do want to mention that I do have the longest running and largest home tour YouTube channel in Colorado. I use that platform to market clients' homes. Even when when realtors do use video, a lot of times they don't have a way to push it out to the public. So I have a great way to do that. I love my clients and taking care of them will always do my best job for them. So thanks for joining me today. If you aren't subscribed, please be sure to subscribe. Don't miss out on any of my educational videos, my market updates, and my home tours around the Denver area. All right. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you have a super day.